Everyone, Ben and Jordan here with Dream On Global, just getting back to the absolutely cold state of Ohio from Pakistan. God did so many amazing miracles and just used us to be a part of what he's building in Pakistan. And so we just wanted to just go over the trip a little bit, kind of rehash what God did. We just got some fresh testimonies from the crusade, very detailed ones, off of some of the buses that came and different pastors that were there that were able to get some testimonies that we just didn't know about. So we want to read those to you today as well.
Yeah, we probably got we prayed for hundreds of people. It was so it was even hard to keep track of and remember everything that the Lord did. But yeah, when we got there, we actually had some delays getting there. We missed a flight, and so we actually got there about a half day later than we were hoping to. So when we got there, after being gone for like 2 days, something like that, we had to go straight to take a shower. We had about 10 minutes, and we had to hop back in the car, and we ended up going to a
Pastor's conference.
Right? Yeah, and
which I fell asleep during worship.
Yes, it's okay. Yeah, it's okay. No, so it was amazing. We saw the Lord move mightily. We both got to share the word. We ended up praying for people. I think almost every single person came down. And then at the end, one of my most favorite memories is this was all of their pastors and their leaders at the church from all their churches. And one of the cool things is they actually brought in basically meals for all the pastors and leaders. And I'll never forget, we had the honor of passing out the food to them. And, you could tell that maybe some of these people were probably pretty hungry. But when we would go and hand them food, the joy on their face was something I'll never forget. Some of them were almost in tears. None of them were like fighting to get food. They're all very polite, very just thankful. And it was like, if the Lord provided, they would be thankful. They would have great joy from it, but they weren't going to steal from someone else or run to the back. So the people in the back just stayed there and waited patiently the entire time. And by the time we got to them, I can only imagine in their head thinking, are they going to run out? Is there going to be enough? But when we ended up handing them food, that was, I thought that was very special.
Yeah, and we, the Pastor John, it sounds like just because of this trip, he was given special, almost like ordination with the army of Pakistan, where he is now one of their spokesmen.
Yeah.
So when the army wants to say something to the government, they call Pastor John and say, hey, this is what we want you to transfer to the government, and tell him. So he got a special vehicle.
We did.
And it has this little flag on the front that says like Defenders of Pakistan, and a special license plate, and a little light, a little police light, yes, which helped with travel, help us get through some different areas, which was just favor.
Yeah, I mean, we had people with literally armed guards following us, but which we're not used to in America, walking around,
right,
our days like that. But it was amazing the way the Lord began to open doors. Even when we got to the airport, I think we were a little nervous because originally they denied my visa, and then we ended up getting, I don't know, the right lawyer or something. Somehow we ended up getting it taken care of. So when we arrived, we weren't quite sure what to expect, but once we got there, we had like a special control agent literally waiting for us, Mr. Powell.
Are you Mr. Powell?
And then so we went right to some special line. They didn't even ask us questions, stamped it, and we went right through. It was literally the easiest immigration
30 seconds
experience we've ever had. So that was cool. It was almost like a reminder that the Lord was like there's not going to be any issues. You're here, that everything is taken care of.
When we arrived as well, all of our partners all over the world are very kind and very accommodating. But after we exited the airport, and we met, our partners outside, they started putting these like necklaces on us that were like flowery and multiple, like at a time. And so I guess it's a custom for a guest or someone you want to honor to put these necklaces on. So we had to walk through part of the airport with these like giant flower necklaces, and then they wanted to take pictures in the middle of a street, and like people keep...
We stunk pretty bad by this point.
Yeah, and so it was like, it all happened so fast. It was still a little jarring. Like once you exit the airport, you're like in the country. Whatever country you're going to, the airport still feels kind of normal, but once you exit, you're like, whoa, here we are.
Yeah.
And then you're getting these necklaces thrown on you, and you're meeting your new partners for the first time.
And it wasn't just them; it was
an entourage. Yeah,
a dozen or 2 dozen people. So that was pretty wild. I think it's the biggest welcoming party we've probably ever had. But that was cool. So
yeah, so that was kind of day one. That was a whirlwind once we got there. And day two, we had another pastors conference. It was in a different part of the city. And so we went to that. And when you go into a church in Pakistan, you're supposed to remove your shoes. And so the first day I was wearing shoes. The second day I'd forgotten that we take our shoes off everywhere, and so I was wearing slip-ons, and so I was barefoot preaching. Because when I got home, one of my friends were like, "You were barefoot preaching?" And I was like, I forgot about that. Yeah, but it's just a sign of honoring the church, and it's a place of holiness. But we preached again in the pastors conference, and saw multiple healings. We got to wash the pastor's feet. Jordan and I really felt the Lord wanted us to do that, and special moment. We literally took time for every pastor, maybe 15 different pastors that we prayed for, and then we moved on with the day.
Yeah, and in their culture, it's an honor culture. So the fact that we would, for them, it was a big honor that we had came, but for us to honor them in that setting, I think meant much more than probably we even recognized, at the time.
Yeah, absolutely. And then going into Sunday, we spoke at their church, again, which was a relatively small church, but it was in the basement of their house. So when I say basement, it's not basement like we're used to in the U.S. It was the first floor coming off the street, and then there were 3 levels on top of that, I think. So it was like a 4 or 5 story building. That the bottom level was their church. And so Jordan and I got to minister again there, and just a sweet people. They're so special. They really received the words that the Lord had given Jordan and I, and many miracles took place that morning as well. And it was just kind of a prepping for the night, for when the crusade was taking place. But just to be in their actual home church. Some of their campuses are way bigger than their own home church, but get to see their house, to get to see their mother, Pastor John's wife, to see where home base is, that was special.
Yeah. It was, and in that church service, we actually were able to give the family the Dream On jackets that we've done throughout many of the world, and I think that meant a lot to them. It was very special, and I think that ultimately, again, just another sign of respect and honor. And one of the things that was very clear once we got to work with this family is how much they love the Lord, how much they want to serve those who are less fortunate than them. They're very passionate about educating children who are, because oftentimes they're not going to be educated at all. And in a country that's 95% Muslim, to be able to teach them not only just a basic education, but also to be able to teach them about the Lord. They said every day they learn a new scripture. So these are kids that otherwise would be uneducated and otherwise would maybe never hear about the Lord. And it's just, it was very clear. On the side of their building, it says White House, which is the name of their building, which is funny. But but it also has a sign that says Jesus loves the education system. And they would always say that phrase, and it always seemed
funny.
odd and funny to us. But when you're there, you truly understood that's something that really rang deep within them. Like it's a very core part of their ministry and their hearts.
Yeah. One thing I forgot about Saturday, and then we'll talk a little bit about the crusade, was we got to go to a YMCA. So their uncle was the director of the YMCA for decades, if I remember correctly.
Big Daddy.
Big Daddy is what they call him. And special Gus, so special. But as the YMCA, they're obviously Christian-based, but they still teach anyone who wants to learn just general subjects, etc. So they said a lot of Muslim kids come to the YMCA. And Hindu. And so they have a wide platform to minister to kids. And he took us out to their kind of the yard area.
It's
massive.
A big property.
I mean, the YMCA property was probably, what would you say, 20, 30 acres maybe?
Yeah, massive.
With
right in the middle
of the city. With
they said the government building was like right next to it. The parliament. It was like, this is like prime real estate in Karachi.
Correct. And he was saying 30 years ago maybe, Marilyn Hickey had done a crusade there. And they're just reminiscing about the 2-3 days, I think, all that God did. And they said nothing else had happened there like that since then. And so it's always a surreal feeling to walk on to these different plots of land all over the world where we know that generals have been there. Yeah. Just men and women of God that have sparked little things in areas. And to know that the Lord is entrusting us with similar assignments as well. But so moving into Sunday after church, I think we ate KFC again.
About 4 times, I think.
They absolutely adore KFC. So we were thankful to be able to eat with them there again. And as we prepped for the crusade, went back to the hotel, rested a little bit, and then we all put on our kameez.
Shalwar kameez.
Shalwar kameez.
Totally butchered the pronunciation, I think, but
which are super comfortable. And so we all put that on. We all had a little special vest they wanted us to wear. And then we went to a pastor's house that was like really close to the stage. You could almost like see the stage. You could hear everything going on. But they wanted us to kind of sit in the house and be comfortable. And so we learned a little bit more about the families and the pastor while we were sitting there, drank more chai tea, had more food, more cookies, very accommodating as we were preparing to preach.
I think this crusade is very different than a lot of the crusades or Dream On parties we've done in the past. Just culturally, it's just so different. It's really hard to even put into words. A couple things that stood out is just they would have this massive thing of carpet that they put. Like, I don't even want to know how big that, but they would roll this big carpet out, and they would put hundreds and hundreds of chairs, probably thousands, all the way back. And this was like this really long, narrow, like area that they fenced off. But I think it's because basically they put the carpet there. And again, it's just their way of, I'm assuming, just showing respect and honor for the Lord, that they don't want to just walk on dirt. They want to make it feel like this is a special place. Right. So that was unique. We're used to having just people kind of all over the place, but to having them very concentrated was definitely a different, and even just musically very different.
Yeah. On a street. It was on a street. I mean, in between buildings. It was like a 2-lane road, so they shut down one side, which is where the crusade was, but the other side, traffic was still driving, so trucks are driving past you. And yeah, there was a mosque right behind us. There's houses right there.
They said there's like 25,000 people that lived in
homes.
This.
Yeah, they said were in the area. And the sound system was very loud. So the knowledge that we reached thousands more just with the sound system is always a special thing of knowing that only when we get to heaven will we see the true fruit of what happened that night. But when we arrived, they had already been worshiping for probably an hour or so. And then they brought us on stage to honor us and put these like headdresses on us. We all look like Aladdin. And
Then fireworks.
They had pyrotechnics that we didn't really. When we got on stage and we're like, whoa, those are pyrotechnics. And it was to celebrate 25 years of ministry, I think.
Something like that.
Something like that. And they let him go, and they just kept going for like 10, 15 seconds, and this smoke is like choking us, and we're up there trying not to breathe this toxic firework in. But it launched into the service, sang a few more worship songs, and then Jordan spoke first.
We both ended up sharing the word, and ultimately you ended up calling out a lot of people. You know, there were so many people there, and up until this point, it was hard to, we kind of weren't sure how we wanted to go about ministering. And so what we ended up, after talking with Pastor John, he had mentioned, why don't we call certain things out? You know, if you had a headache, put your hand on your head, and then if the Lord heals you, come forward. And so we ended up doing that, and not many people came forward, and we were like, okay, God, like, what's going on? But I remember one man, and I saw him way from the back. He started walking. He was this very determinate, and he came straight onto stage, and you were still preaching at the time. And he came up to me, and he says, and he told me, he spoke a little English, and it was kind of broken. But he told me, he said that I'm an unchurched man. Basically, I think that he was a Muslim, but that wasn't practicing. And he said that he's had this pain in his face right under his eye. And he said that he heard from a friend that he said the man of God was coming to Pakistan. And he said he'd never, like, it seemed unheard of to him. And he said he lived hours away, but he was determined that he would get on a bus and he would come, and he said that if the man of God prays for me, that I will be healed and I will receive my blessing. And so I prayed for him, and his whole countenance changed, and just this joy, and he began to cry, and he said the pain is gone. And we ended up having him come on stage, and he began to share his testimony, which was cool. So that was very memorable. But what we didn't realize is that the reason why people weren't coming forward is because a lot of these people are uneducated, and so they were very embarrassed to come forward. Right. Because what happened is we then invited people forward to pray, and which hundreds of people came down. Right. And most of them, when we would ask what's wrong, they would say, well, I had a heart issue and you prayed for it and it's healed, but I also have this other thing. And we're like, well, why didn't you come forward? And then we later found out that it's because they were just very nervous to come forward because they're uneducated. But we did just get a report from our partners, and they were saying how they have over 400 testimonies that when the people came back on the buses, there was a pastor on every bus, and the pastor would ask them for testimonies, and they would collect them. And so they said they have over 400 of them, but they're trying to translate them. So he said these were like 5 or 6 that they sent us, and some of these are amazing. Yeah. I'll let you go ahead and share a first couple here.
Yeah, absolutely. The first one reads, my name is Roxana, and I'm 42. I live in Mehran town. 2 years ago, I had a road accident, and my arm was fractured. Doctors were able to operate, and they were able to put the joint back together, but I had pain that never left. I took various medicines, but there was nothing happened to the pain. It was still there. Then I had a chance to come for prayer on February 15th, 2026, in which Pastor Jordan and Pastor Ben were praying for the sick. God is the God of healing, and as soon as he started praying, I placed my hand on my arm, and I felt my pain disappeared. And I was completely healed with no pain at all. I'm greatly thankful to God, the people of God who prayed, and God answered it. And another one, and I'll let you read some of them as well. My name is Anwar Masih, and I live in Bathyabad. I was partially deaf for the past 5 years. All the treatments performed by the doctor were going in vain. We came to the prayer festival, and when Pastor Ben asked to place our hands that had any disease, I put my hand on my ear, and in faith that God would listen, and my prayers were answered, and I was healed.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
Here's one. It says, my name is Silas Barkat, and it says, I'm 55 years old, and it said 3 years back, they had a paralysis attack. I'm assuming like a stroke, and one side of the body was not functioning at all. They took their family took them into the hospital, and they were admitted for over 10 days there and examined by the doctors. And it says that when they got a little better, they discharged him, sent him home, and he said that his wife took good care of him. But it says that he was asking the Lord to forgive him of his sins, and prayed for healing so that the church, so that he could go to church and testify of his name. So really, it seems like this issue kind of led him to the Lord. And it says that he started coming to church, and he wasn't completely healed during this time, but then Pastor Jordan came to the event, and that he prayed for the sick, and with God's grace, he's healed completely through faith. So that was a cool story. And then we have another one. My name is Alvina, and she says, I'm here to give testimony about her son. She said, my son was partially blind since birth. Doctors said to them that as he'll grow in age, he'll be fine and he'll be able to see. But as the son is now 9 years old, his condition is still the same and hasn't gotten any better. It says, we are coming to church. They've been going to church for the past 2 years, and that they've been praying, but this time we had a team from the U.S., and when Pastor Ben prayed for my son, he is now totally healed. So that's amazing.
Amazing. We had so much expectation for these healings, and we were talking about, I think, breakfast the morning of the crusade, that when you minister, what you talk about, God backs up and he brings about. And so we really felt that the crusade was about physical healing. And so that's what we talked about. And that's what God brought about to glorify himself. A couple more. My name is Nadim Allah, and I'm a resident of Moran Town. I'm 60 years old. And 7 years ago, he had a paralysis attack as well, probably a stroke. The good part was that God saved me and everything was functioning well except my heart. I had continuous pain in my heart. I took medicines, but nothing was working out, and it was part of my daily life. I'd gotten used to it. I had been part of church for the past 6 months and had been praying continuously about this. And during prayer meeting, when Pastor Ben asked us to pray about our issues and put your hand in a spot that needed healed, God healed me from the pain, and I have no more pain in the heart area.
And what's amazing is that was one of the things that you called out and said, I feel like the Lord wants to heal someone of heart pain, and no one comes forward, and we're like, okay, Lord, what are you doing here? But it's very assuring, and just to remind us that the Lord, he knows what he's doing, and that's amazing.
You want to read the last two?
Yeah, sure. So we have more. My name is Sana, and I live in Orangi Town. I have been coming to church for 1.5 years, and for the past 2 years, they had a tumor in their chest. We went to the doctors, and they asked us to undergo a couple of tests. They said, as we belong to a poor family, we didn't have enough funds for that test, and that were recommended by the doctor, but all they had was faith, and that during this time, that God would listen and heal them. And it says that during the prayer fest, Pastor Jordan prayed, and I was totally healed. So amazing, just to, they literally had nothing except for faith in the Lord, and the Lord was moved by that, and that's amazing. Last one here, pastor's wife. It says her vision was horrible due to cataracts, and that when Pastor Ben prayed for her and God began to heal her eyes, the testimony came back. Her vision is completely clear. She sees normal, and to God alone belongs all the glory. So
amazing.
And again, this is just half dozen from 400 apparently.
We're always amazed though we can all think of some time in our life where we were sick or we had something physical going on in our life, and when either we received a miracle from the Lord or a doctor helped us, that's transformative to our everyday life. And so to see these people's faith collide with the Lord on that field, and just to watch him bring about amazing miracles, it's so special. And people ask us all the time, why do miracles seem to be easier occurring in other countries? Mm-hmm. It's because they have nothing. They have no plan B. They have no money. They have no insurance. They have no 401k. They have no access to the amazing healthcare that we do. And so they simply believe. When someone stands up and says, God can heal you, they say, okay, I need healed.
Yeah.
And they receive healing. It's that simple. You look in the book of Acts, look in the New Testament, read the Gospels, and see what Jesus did. And he's still doing that today.
That desperation.
Yeah.
It's amazing. And so then after the crusade, the next day it was a very long day. We were tired from a long day of the crusade and everything, but this was maybe one of the most impactful, kind of memorable parts of the trip. Is we had and getting up early. We had to drive, felt like 3 days, to basically the border of India and Pakistan, the middle of nowhere. And we went to these villages where these Hindu tribes used to live, and some are still Hindu, but some of them have converted to Christianity. They have like grass, like bamboo huts with no walls. This town was actually called the town of John. Yeah. Which was the pastor, and because before they had this name of this idol that
a Hindu idol,
and he came in there and began to preach to them and show them the love of Jesus, and they said, we need to rename the town after you, so that was a very cool just to see that. But he had built a building for them to have school in. There's multiple wells that were built there. They helped build like a medical clinic for people that are sick to go. And again, there's no running water, there's no electricity, there's literally nothing. And we ended up getting to share the word with them, pray for kids, and it was emotionally hard to even sort of process what was even happening that day.
Yeah, and one thing we learned that specifically the Muslim society doesn't want to go into the villages because they consider them unclean.
Yes.
And so it's wide open for
they're
the
just
gospel.
left.
Yep, they're kind of just left to kind of fend for themselves, and spiritually, physically, all that. And it was the first time in my life, specifically with the area of water, like clean water, to just see how transformative that is to a community, to a family, to an individual, to see or even to research just the different diseases that come about just because of a lack of clean water, and to see a muddy pond they can drink from, or walk 30 feet over to a now hand pump that they can have access to clean water. It's mind blowing.
Yeah, and to think a hand pump there is about $500. Not to say that $500 is insignificant amount of money, but in America we see $500 on a pretty rate. We have cell phone bills that are hundreds of dollars, for families. But just to think how literally just $500 can change drastically change the lives of people that. Then because of it, we have these plaques that say that Jesus is the living water. And for a Hindu person, how they're being provided for is a sign that there is a God. So bringing water to them in the name of Jesus is like it's a message and a preaching in and of itself. So for those who helped support building those 2 wells, thank you so much. It's really hard to even put into words how impactful that is for those people. There's, I think they said 70 to 80 some village of those little tribes in this kind of region, and they want to build wells in all of them. So something that we'll probably continue to do as part of Do Builds, and it's just the simple things that the Lord uses to minister.
Absolutely. And I know that they were saying that the company that actually drills the wells, they give them like a package deal. If they tell them, hey, look, we want to build like multiple at a time, they can actually come in a little less. Yeah. And so if we can build more than one at a time, it'd be even a little more efficient with the Lord's money. So yeah, looking forward to the future of kind of the humanitarian side of blessing the people of Pakistan. And the Bible says he who has much is required. And it's a perfect thing, I think, for Do Builds to tackle as well. So thank you again to those of you who supported us in your prayers with all the different donations but prayers. We could feel your prayers. The hand of the Lord was very present the entire trip, and what an honor to call you partners, to call you faithful brothers and sisters in the Lord, and thank you for supporting us. Coming up on 10 years here soon.
Crazy. We're getting old.
Coming up on a decade. So we love you guys, and if you have any other questions, reach out to us. But thanks for staying connected.
Lift up your heads, you gates. Lift them up, you ancient doors.